Hello everybody, welcome to Monday Morning Must Knows. My name is Merlin Rothfelld, and here are 3 important things to pay attention to for the upcoming trading week. Now before I dive into it, let's recap what happened over the last week's session, which was pretty impressive. We talked about that GDP number on Thursday being critical for our markets, and we missed badly on that GDP number, really painting an ugly picture for our economy going forward, and maybe putting that R word on the tip of a lot of people's tongues, recession. Well, we have to look at the inflation rate as well. And on Friday, we had the core PCE price index numbers come out, which was just in line with expectation. And lo and behold, the market shot up and rallied. So we'll see if this week's economic data helps spur that little rally up, or if we continue that downtrend that we've been in for several months. Now we'll start things off with the earnings calendar, and I'm telling you right away, it is a very light week. There are only 206 companies reporting earnings. Last week we had like 300, but there are a couple of big names on this list. Now we'll start things off on Tuesday because Monday you've got nothing going on. But we do have a huge name on Tuesday. That's Salesforce and Hewlett Packard. On Wednesday, you've got Viva Systems, Network Appliances, MongoDB, and the meme stock extraordinaire that has a market cap of $8 billion, yet loses over $1.50 per share. GameStop. Yes, the blockbuster of video games that Diamond Hand Reddit traders think is the greatest thing on earth. They're reporting earnings, and we'll see how that pans out. On Thursday, you've got Lululemon, Sienna, and Hormel Foods, just to give us an extra little reading on inflation. And that is your earnings calendar for this week. Again, very light, but make sure you check the earnings calendar so that you don't get caught holding positions in your portfolio that could be overly or unduly volatile. Now, let's shift gears and go to a much bigger picture, the hand that moves the markets around the world. That is central banks. Now, I'm highlighting one specific central bank here, but then we'll take a step back and look at what some of the other ones are doing. As you can see here, Canada raising 50 basis points up to 1.5%. Now, that's an extremely aggressive rate increase. And the reason for that is inflation is running rampant, not just here in the United States, but also in Canada and Europe and Asia. It is really starting to spike, so central banks are raising those rates aggressively. Now, what I want to do is look at what Canada has been doing historically, because when we see these numbers on the screen, a 50 basis point increase, a lot of people are like, oh my goodness. Well, let's put it into perspective of where we were in the past. Now, take a peek at this chart. If we go back a few years, this goes all the way back into 2000. And you notice on the left-hand side of that chart that the rate for Canada was about 6%. And here we are at the bottom, just bouncing off of zero. Well, I think the important part to notice here is that they've gone from 0 to 1% in an extremely short period of time. And the expectation is another 50 basis point increase, which puts us right about where that red arrow is. Now, that is not that high given historical norms. We can see that it's had 6% back in 2000. Ideally, what will happen to these rates will go back to some level of what we call normalization. Now, what's the normal rate? Is it 3%, 5%, 8%? I don't know. I mean, history will give us some levels as a guideline, but right now we know that everyone is aggressively raising rates. Now, we'll start things off by looking at what other banks are doing around the world. And it's important to note that over the past few months, central banks have been aggressively raising. Here you see the Reserve Bank of New Zealand in the past year has gone from 0.1% to 2%. That's a 1.9% increase in that rate for the banks in New Zealand. That's a tremendous jump. Normally there's a gradual increase, but New Zealand's clearly saying, hey, we have a problem. We want to fight inflation. Let's jack those rates up quickly. But they're not the only ones. Keep going down this list. You've got the Bank of England. In 6 months, they've gone from 0 to 1%, and the expectation is they're going to go even higher. And then, of course, we circle back to the United States, where the U.S. Fed funds rate in the past 3 months has gone from 25 basis points to 1%, and at the June 15th meeting, they're already anticipating another 50 basis point increase. That would put the Fed funds rate here in the United States at 1.5%. What's the forecast for December? 2.75%. So they're going to double those rate increases by the time we get to December. At least that's the expectation. Bottom line is there is a lot of anticipation and expectation about rates increasing. And remember, rising rates can slow down an economy significantly. So if you got long positions, you might want to look at how to protect your portfolio. Now, finally, we'll look at some economic data that has been on a pretty significant downtrend for a long time. And it is one of the major metrics towards looking at recessions and looking at stagflation, and that is the unemployment rate. Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, they come out with that unemployment number, and you can see it's looking pretty good. We've had a significant decline, and the expectation is that we're going to see those unemployment numbers continue to decline. Now, I have to ask a question here. How low can it go? Right? We're under 3.5%, or right at 3.5%. How low is it going to go? At some point, we will get to peak employment. and then it will start to drift back up. Historically, if we were to look at this chart and go back, let's say 20, 30 years, we've never been this low. Right, we're at historical lows with regards to unemployment. So at some point, that's going to start to turn up. But as we know and we teach in our classes, Online Trading Academy, the trend is your friend until the bend at the end. And a lot of people are expecting the bend at the end in unemployment to start sometime soon. That, my friends, is Monday Morning Must Knows. We'll see you next week.